Packet radio. I've been in packet radio probably 30 years and over the highs and lows of it. And I've had stations on the air, I guess, continuous since about 1992. So anyway, my packet stations are on 724. VE9AI is on 145.010 and VE9 DGP is on 145.030. And mailboxes, of course, on those, VE9AI-1 and VE9 DGP-1. So this is not a course per se. We wouldn't have time, but it's just kind of an overview of where packet came from and where you can go and get some information and kind of the basics, because there's some of us on here that, like Brent and Murray and Charles, that been in packet quite a while, so it'll probably be old hat to these guys, but so I'm trying to give anybody that hasn't been in it or new people a little idea of what it is. Packet's an early digital mode developed in the late 70s, and guess where? In Canada, using AX25 protocol. The A on it stands for amateur, of course. It's a modified X25 protocol for ham radio. Packet radio is a particular digital mode of amateur radio communications, which corresponds to computer telecommunications. If you think back to when we had telephone modems, the telephone modem is replaced by a magic box called a terminal node controller, or commonly called a TNC. The telephone is replaced by an amateur radio transceiver, and the phone system is replaced by the free amateur radio waves. Packet radio takes any data stream sent from a computer and sends it via radio to another amateur station similarly equipped. Packet radio is so named because it sends the data in small bursts or packets, similar to internet. Packet has three great advantages over other digital modes: transparency, error correction, and automatic control. The operation of a packet station is transparent to your end user, or to the end user. To connect to the other station, type in your message and it's sent automatically. The terminal node controller, or TNC, automatically divides the message into packets, keys the transmitter, and sends the packets. While receiving the packets, the TNC in the far end automatically decodes, checks for errors. If there's errors, it asks for that to be sent again or resent, and displays the received messages. Packet radio provides error-free communications because of the built-in error detection schemes. If a packet is received, it is checked for errors and will be only displayed if it's correct. Amateur radio packet, for the most part, has come and gone. Its heyday was from the early 1980s till around 2000. It's using a terminal or program, a special modem, and a radio to connect with the other packet user, or to a packet bulletin board system called a PBBS. A bulletin board is like a crude website that can provide limited or specific information, as well as message server functions, similar to Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo, like we all use today. Packet is generally peer-to-peer, meaning station to station, but you can connect to multiple stations should you desire. We used to have packet meetings at one time way back on the air, but it's mostly station to station or connecting through a station, called digipeating. More on that in a bit. Some of the other uses for packet are specialized communications like APRS, which uses a modified packet system on its own frequency of 144.5. They modified the AX25 and the programs to work similarly to packet. Packet radio can be used on any band, but is generally used on the lower part of the bands, on 2 meters and HF. On 2 meters, 145.010, 145.030 are the common ones. There's other frequencies available there, like 050 and 070 can be used. But those are the most common, and the modems usually use AFSK of 1200 baud and sometimes 9600 baud on UHF. On HF, it's only 300 baud because of the low frequency. Most common HF frequency is 14105. I listen to that and workstations on there quite often, and it uses the lower sideband on HF rather than the upper sideband. So that's 14105. That is called the Network 105. It was started years ago. Keep in mind that packet is only one simple protocol. There are many other newer formats, SAMTOR, PACTOR, well, JS8 and JS8 call and so on, FT8 and all that stuff. So each has their own qualities and are not compatible with AX25 packet. Hams could, when the packet started, hams could check back and forth, but needed a method to go long distance. One method to repeat a signal through packet is through another person's TNC and radio using the VIA command. If I wanted to connect to VE9AI, I'd say connect VE9AI via VE9OR, which is Charles. If Charles could see a site and I couldn't, I could go through his site and it would repeat it and send it to the other site. So it's like a repeater. Another method is the Digipeater, which came into use and installed at high points. Digipeaters use only a TNC and a radio. They don't need a computer or a dumb terminal or anything on when it's being used that way, and it has a special program to repeat, check the signal, and pass it on. We'll have more on that in a bit. KA nodes is another method used using a Kantronics TNC, which has a built-in packet repeater. It doesn't have all the smarts of a real Digipeater, but it's used as a fill-in repeater. I'm running one here right now at my place where anybody were in town and couldn't get to the nearest Digipeaters. Also, there are also gateways on the network connect worldwide nodes. There's PBBSs, bulletin boards with message forwarding. There's gateways to HF. There's packet clusters, email servers, WinLink, RMS, and so on that all hang off the packet network. This is a packet station, the first type that we used with a TNC. We had a computer or dumb terminal, which interfaced with a TNC or terminal node controller, which controlled the radio. So one of the advantages of a TNC is that it has a built-in mailbox. So you can take the computer off or turn it off, and this works all the time, and somebody can send you a message and it's stored in your TNC. Newer ones use computer sound cards, signal links, Rig Expert. They impedance match, level adjust, and develop a push to talk, but there's no mailbox with this setup. We just have the computer and sound card interface and radio. So you would have to use another method. If you wanted a mailbox, you'd have to register at a PBBS and store your mail there. Digipeaters, again, only a TNC and radio and antenna and power supply is required. It uses an EEPROM programmed with the NET version 2.08 software. Digipeater system ops can remote access these and change settings and whatnot remotely. Digipeaters talk to one another and exchange node and routing information. They receive data and do error checks and pass it on. It's much like an APRS Digipeater. They keep a node list, routing, and what stations they've heard. So you can look, when you log into one, you can get some information of who it's been hearing, and they're continuously talking Digipeaters back and forth saying, are you still there? Yeah, okay. It's the same with two packet stations talking to one another. If you don't type anything for a while, the packet stations talk back and forth. Are you still there? Okay, I was just checking. You don't see this, it does it on its own, but after a while, if you didn't type anything, it'll time itself out and disconnect because it hasn't seen any traffic, but it keeps talking back and forth all the time when you're connected to somebody, so that it keeps asking, are you still there? Okay, I was just checking. So they got some smarts built into them. In this area, we have Digipeaters at Crabbe Mountain, at Scotch Mountain, and St. John. That's presently not working right, but Moncton, Caledonia Mountain, and my KA node here in Fredericton. There's a PBS in Moncton, one in Charlottetown. Digipeaters, of course, are in Maine, Nova Scotia, PEI. And we have the AIPCOM backbone 220 meg system that ties one of the networks together. It was put in the early 90s by EMO, and it's not used by EMO now, but I try to keep it up and maintain it. So, and at the end of this, I'll show you some packet maps and where you can go to get that information. But the whole packet system is up and working right now. So I went to Sussex, or to Scotch Mountain last fall, and the power supply was gone in there, and I replaced it, and I put a new antenna up down there, so everything's working now. So this is a typical AIPCOM cabinet. Like I said, these were put in at Crabbe Mountain, Scotch Mountain, Spruce Lake in St. John, and Caledonia Mountain here in the province. So the backbone system, that works on 220 meg. So there's several nodes. You can log in on VHF, and then you can go out. This is transparent to you, but you can go out on the 220 backbone system. So these were the cabinets that EMO put in. This happens to be the one in Charlottetown. I just happen to have a picture of it. BY2 EMO on the side of the cabinet, and it says AIPCOM. So there's a power supply in the bottom, and this one's got 4 TNCs, but I see one's not equipped there right now with a radio. But these are all connected together. So if you come in on one, you can go out on the other. So those are the radios and the power supply down the bottom, and a monitoring system up to the top here where you can monitor each one. These are TNCs that were in use. A big one was the MFJ 1270 and 1274. The bottom, or the middle one's a KPC3 by Kantronics. And these are still sold today. There's a lot of those MFJs around. You can pick them up fairly easy. And the one was an AE, was it? Yeah, I forget now. Model. That was another packet TNC controller. These are the modern ones still sold today by Kantronics. This is a new KPC3. They got a different name. They call it a Communicator 3 Plus now. This is a Kantronics Cam, and I have the older version of this. They used to call it the Cam All Mode, and it does a multitude of functions besides just packet, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But a really good TNC, and with these you can have a KA node in them. Kantronics All Mode, they do WeatherFax, AmTOR, which is amateur teleprinting over radio, CW, RIDI, ASCII, host mode, KA mode, PBS, NavTex, AmTex, KISS mode. Everyone knows what KISS mode means. It means keep it simple, stupid. And that's for transferring data. You can transfer data, pictures over packet. if you have TNC with the KISS mode in it. PAC and also they got the dual ports, HF, VHF, and HF to VHF crossover. My cam, if I turn my HF rig on, you could come in on VHF and go on to HF packet. But I don't leave it on all the time. Years ago, I used to, because I had packet in my company vehicle, and I used to talk to a friend in Georgia at dinner time. So I'd leave mine on. I'd come in through the VHF port and go out on HF. So to be able to chat online with him. Baud rates. Don't mix up the baud rates on the radio side with the baud rate between the terminal and TNC. They're totally different. You could be communicating from computer terminal at 9600 baud, and the radio going out in HF is only 300 baud. So you don't need to really be going that speed or baud rate, because you're only going to end up going out to on the radio at 300 baud. For a typical 2-meter operation, it's best to run the baud rates at 1200, because that's what goes out of your VHF radio. So you might as well have it 1200 between your computer and your TNC or sound card. You don't achieve any speed running the terminal to the TNC at 9600. So in days past, amateurs used a simple, slow computers, IBM PCs. I used to use all these when I first started, and in the terminal mode, using programs like HyperTerminal, ProCom, PC Plus, and other methods. We had a lot of dumb terminals around in the old days. I don't think there's any left in the world now, but they used a lot of dumb terminals for stuff at one time. That was just basically a screen and a keyboard. A terminal is a keyboard and monitor, of course, interfaced to a serial port. Typing on a keyboard sends an ASCII characters in serial to the COM port. Serial data coming in gets displayed on the monitor or dumb terminal or screen and the terminal is a self-contained keyboard and video monitor and a serial port all in one box. Like I said, it'd be hard pressed to find any now. They're probably extinct. Of course, a COM port is a serial data connector on your computer. Not many computers have a COM port anymore. Either a DB9 or DB25 connector transmits and receives information at various speeds. On the old computers, COM1 was a 9-pin DB9 male connector, and COM2 was a 25-pin female connector. Later computers had 2 DB9s, but with today, we have to use when USB ports come out, we use now a USB to serial adapter, and they work okay. So you plug your serial in your TNC, and because most of the TNCs around have a serial port on them, so you can use one of these adapters. Tigertronics were the first one to come out with a novel idea: run all the software on the computer instead of the TNC and just use an external modem only plugged into the parallel port. So that was the first big breakthrough. But you had to have a slow computer. Baypac modems were popular. Most computer CPUs were only running at 4.7 megahertz to 20 megahertz. The software was dependent on CPU timing for communications. When faster computers came of age, they had to throttle back the CPU to make them work properly. Most recently, signal link USBs are used in rig blasters or computer sound cards. HF packet again works at 300 baud. Mixw. Sorry, just a minute. Hello? I'm on doing my presentation. I'll call you back. Okay, sorry about that. Mixw is one of the programs. I use that on a sound card interface to do HF packet. Besides on my cam all mode, I can do it on the computer. And again, the only thing with this setup, you don't have any mailbox in your, because it directly goes from the program that has the smarts in it to the sound card to get it into a format to go out on HF, so there's no mailbox. TNCs with an HF port, such as a cam all mode. Cam TNCs have what we talked about, the VHF to HF crossover. And again, the most used HF frequency is 14105, but there is other frequencies there that sometimes they got a frequency in 80 meters, but the most of the traffic on the whole network is on this frequency. Today's setup, again, a radio and an antenna, of course, an interface like Signal Rig or Expert, and software. Another program that you can use is Outpost software. I've got that set up on one I can use, and it's got a lot of smarts in it for forwarding message. You can type it all out and hit one button, and you put in the routing, and it knows where to go and how to get there. Commands. A lot of the commands used in packet are like the old DOS system. There are common commands used in packet. More complex TNCs have more commands, of course, more setups. We use the call sign for direct station to station keyboarding, like VE9AI. If I wanted to connect to VE9OR, I just put C VE9OR, and it would go there and waiting for Charles to come on, and we could keyboard back and forth. If I wanted to send to his mailbox, I would put connect VE9OR-1, and I'd go into his mailbox. There's some commands, and you can leave a message for him there. And he knows when the message is there, or on any TNC, because there's a light flashes on the front of your TNC to let you know you have a message waiting. Also, the KA nodes use -7. So if you want to go somewhere and use the KA node because you can't go direct to the Digipeater, you could connect to VE9AI-7, and then from there you could go connect to the Digipeater on Sussex on Scotch Mountain, one of them, and say connect VE9SIX, and then go from there. There's, as I said, many commands. There's the C is for connect command, the B is for the buy command, and so on. There's a lot of different commands. They're not hard to use once you get accustomed to them, but I didn't want to put them all in here tonight. There are two kinds of commands. There's commands to set up your TNC, and there's commands to use on the network. Two different things. TNC manuals have all these, and if you buy a used TNC, you can always go online and get the manual for it. Again, if you use a software program and a sound card, you're not going to have a mailbox, but you could register at one of the BBSs. There's one in Moncton and one in Charlottetown, and you could have your messages sent there. And you could go in every once in a while and pick them up, go in, see if there's any messages. When you log into the BBS, it comes up and says you have a message waiting. So also, there's a lot of old TNCs, like I said, kicking around, and that way you could leave your station radio and everything on 724. Then somebody could leave you a message at any time. That's the way mine have been on, like I said, for 30 years here. And for anyone interested in this, I know it's a quick go through, but they're more than willing to contact me. I'll help them set up or come to my shack. Probably for the best thing is a hands-on where you can see how it works, and everything, and there's more on packet making a comeback all the time. So Moncton's really into it now, and they're having meetings, a packet group all formed, and there's quite a few on over there now. Here in town here, we have myself, VE9AI, Charles, VE9OR, and Murray, VE1TE, another old long-time packet guy. And also we have the EMO stations are on. VE9EHQ is on off the backbone system at 220, but VE9EMJ is on 145030. They're still working there. And again, I've restored the packet network because the guys in Moncton contacted me and wondered if we could get it back up. So that's back up. And just going to look at some packet maps. If you want more information about packets, you can go to the VE9AI. We're on site in PEI. This is the http://ve1cra.net/main, or you can just Google VE9AI, and that's what comes up first on the screen. So APRS uses again the AX25, but it's a different program modified for its Digipeaters. Also is mostly on, for APRS, it's on 144.5 across North America. It's all on one big system. At one time, there was NOS, NOS, and JNOS. This is a modified to use packet as a TCP/IP, more similar to Internet Protocol. Everybody was assigned an IP address, and we had a network here running one time, and on its own, it ran its own Digipeater and stuff, and it was a smaller system, but we used to play with that. But the guy that was running it got transferred out of town, and away went the system too. So, but there's not too much of that used around here anymore, I don't think, NOS and JNOS, but it's just a different facet of it. This is one of the packet maps, and this is one I drew up. It's just mainly for our area in Moncton. But since I did this, Ron in PEI has made up all new maps and has them on his site. But this just shows up here at the top. This is the EMO node up at Crabbe Mountain. There's 4 systems there. There's a UHF drop that we're not being used right now, but we have 145030. We have 230 megahertz that goes down to the EHQ TNC in the EMO room, and this is the other VE9EMJ is the other one in the EMO room working on 14503. There's also a cluster network in there, but you can only get to it by telnet now. It used to be connected in the system. So this VE9EMD-1 is a 220 megahertz backbone system. It goes down and interfaces here at Scotch Mountain. So at Scotch Mountain, we have 2 or 3 actual TNCs there. This one is by itself. VE9SIX is on 14501, and it goes to St. John, but like I said, St. John's not working right now, and that's the club down there has that, so they haven't fixed it. And you can also go to VE1NET is over in Nova Scotia, so this node will see that. It also sees, it's most of the time, W1LH-6 is over in Cooper Mountain, Maine, and there's a lot of packet down through Maine. But then this connects over to Moncton or Caledonia Mountain. This is the node stack in there at 220, and then it branches off to a UHF frequency and goes into the local stuff in Moncton here. This is a BBS, and they have their own LAN system there and whatnot. There's all kinds of, they have a WinLink RMS and from Caledonia, it also goes off here and goes to the node stack and PEI, and the one down Truro and goes on down to Halifax. So you can go right down and go in Nova Scotia wherever you want. This is the maps that Ron had drawn up, and you can go on his site and you can print these off. There's lots of maps there, all for Nova Scotia and whatnot. So this is the AIPCOM network. So I'm not going to go all through it, but it shows how the network all across Nova Scotia, PEI, and New Brunswick are all linked. It gives you a list on here too of all the nodes that are around the MARCOM network. That's what they call the MARCAN and network. And that's my baby that's in the garage kicking, wanting to get out. So I got to put a ham radio in it. I don't think I dare drill a hole through the top. Anyway, that's a short run through of Packet. And like I said, I'm available anytime that anybody wants more information, or they want to set up a station, or I have some spare TNCs kicking around here, and if somebody wants to get in it, we can help you out, or you can come here and see the station and decide if you want, if that's something you want to do. And it's nothing like seeing a hands-on. If you're interested, you can go and look at it. And so I have two on the go here, 2 stations. So that's about it. Anybody got any questions about anything?
Gary does.
Gary?
Pardon? Yes.
Okay. I was told that a PACTOR piece of equipment was extremely expensive. Now, does the Kantronics packet built in, does that particular piece of equipment cost quite a bit as well?
No. Well, I'm not sure on the prices of. Really, the only company I know of making TNCs now is Kantronics. Like I said, those two, they make the KPC3 and the bigger one. Well, and I have the older version of the Cam All mode. So,
what would the new one cost approximately?
I don't know. I have no idea, because it's probably. It could be the all mode. I don't know, 400 or 500 maybe. They're more expensive.
I was told a PACTOR piece of equipment is in the thousands.
Yes, PACTOR is something. It's another version, and it is expensive. It always has been, but there's not too many people using it around here. But yes, it's expensive. It's kind of a different thing altogether. Yeah. But
okay, so what I'm wondering about is, will the Kantronics do the same thing? Like, why is this other piece of equipment so expensive? Does it do more things than the Kantronics? Or?
Well, I've never used PACTOR. I don't know whether anybody on here has or not, or played with it, but I've never played around with PACTOR. I knew that it was more expensive, and
yeah.
Can you use an alternative? Like if you go to the internet and do a search for an alternative to the PACTOR, is that a possibility?
It might be. I don't know. I know there was another company, and theirs was really expensive at making stuff for PACTOR, but.
Well, like I see the option on the Kantronics to do PACTOR. That's what puzzles me. How can you do that without this expensive one? That's the question.
Well, it's a different. It's built different and does different things. I guess is why like I said, I've never had anything to do with PacTour, but
Okay.
so I can't really tell you. But you might go in and research PacTour there and see what and find out some more information. I guess I can't really help you out too much.
Okay,
But,
that's fine, Gary. That's all right.
yeah. But like I said, you can do packet with just a sound card, and the only thing you're missing is being able to leave it on all the time. You know, like a TNC and radio, mine sit there day in, day out, so somebody can connect and leave me a message, and you know, and I go down, the lights flash, and somebody's messaged me there. So, but with just a sound card, it has no mailbox in the programs that you use to run it. If you use Mixw or Outpost, or there's other ones that you can use too. But so if you wanted to get your messages, you would have to register at a bulletin board system. And see, a bulletin board system also, you can put a message in there, and if you know the address of where you want it to go, it'll forward it to that address. I used to use that a lot of times years ago before internet and everything came in. It's not much used now, but everybody had their own unique address, and so or you would know the address of where it wanted to go, and the PBBS would automatically forward it to, it would send it. Usually all the messaging was done over HF out of a BBS, but to get to the distance. So there's also packet gateways to go from VHF to HF. So, you know, you could go in and they go out on the internet the same as Fusion. You could go and these days and go on and connect to overseas somewhere or wherever you wanted to go and pack it that way, rather than when the conditions were good years ago. I used to be able to go on HF packet and connect Italy and all over the place. I got, you know, QSL cards. You could go just about anything over the air on that 14105 usually, and connect to stations all over the place.
Gary?
Yeah.
I was wondering, that the car that you have, that old car that you have there, is that a Packard?
No, that's a Ford, a 1935 Ford.
Okay.
It's got everything new in it. It's just the shell of the original. It's all metal body, but it's got a new frame. It's got a 350 GM crate engine, power steering, tilt steering wheel. It's got big wide tires on it. It's everything's new in it.
Okay.
And the inside's all done in crushed velvet. It's got a power bucket seat on the driver's side, automatic transmission, of course, 9-bolt rear end, Hotchkis rear suspension, and Mustang II front end.
And the dog is optional.
That's not a dog. I said, whose dog is in my car? It's a reflection off of something, and
a cloud.
It's a cloud, but it looked like a dog. And I said, how'd that dog get in the car? Not my dog. But I wanted a car. You take an old car, a true antique, and you start driving it, any first thing's oil's dripping out of it or something breaks. You know, they're not meant to go out on the road. You could drive around town, but once they heat up, everything starts to seep and leak. And so I wanted something I could get in and go with. So it's got electric fan cooling in it and everything. So it's a modern day car with just the shell to make it original, and that's what I was looking for at the time. So,
Gary, this is Walter. I had a couple of more technical questions, and I'm not sure if you know the details. I was
okay.
wondering, I was wondering if you know what the mark and space tones are in the modulation coming out of the sound card.
Well, I'm not sure, but it's what's in the computer program or the TNC programming that puts it out. It is common for all TNCs, of course. And I'm not sure. It's kind of a mixed thing because it's got data in it when it's transmitted, so it's not pure tones. It's it's a combination.
Well, but you're using frequency shift keying is the modulation method, right? So I was just wondering what the mark and space tones are for the frequency shift keying.
I don't know right off to answer your question, but of course, all TNCs have to have that same, frequency in it. It's in the manual, but I forget right now what it is. But
I might be able to find it online. I was just thinking if somebody wanted to actually build their own TNC, maybe with a Raspberry Pi and either generate the audio tones out of one of the ports.
There is an add-on for Raspberry Pi. It's a small unit called a TNCX that goes down over, and I had one here. I had a Raspberry. I haven't got one now, but I had that in the TNC that sat on it and went down.
Oh, okay.
But you can get that add-on TNC for a Raspberry Pi. Yeah. I think it's called a TNCX. Yeah.
Gary, is that the one I got from you?
Yep.
Okay. I forgot all about that.
It's got the TNC on it. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I know back in the day I used an XR 2206 signal generator and a 2212 FSK demodulator to build up a little modem just from scratch.
Oh, okay.
So you just need like a binary signal, if you will, to drive your mark space, and it would actually provide it back. So you could and back in the day, you could take the ASCII output from the 2212 and drive a VT100 terminal, for example.
Yeah. No, there was a pile of different TNCs on it, that you could get at one time. There's a lot of companies made them. Their Tiny Twos were another one made by PacComm, and that was really popular. They were small size and worked good. I have 2 or 3 of them here, but just before you go, Murray, do you know what the mark and space frequencies are for packet?
They're probably around 2125 and 2295, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, that's what I can't remember now, but
Okay, thank you. 7-3s. Bye for now.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, I guess that's about it for
I have a practical question. You were talking about connecting to different folks. So for instance, if you want to talk to someone in Maine, so would you have to connect to each individual grouping to get? Would you have to make several connections to get to where you want to go? I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, it just depends. If I couldn't go to you directly, I'd go to maybe Crabbe Mountain. I'd connect there, connect VE9 EMD-5, and then connect to VE9MO-1, or if I can't, or I could go through somebody else's using the VIA to go through his packet system to get to you. If I couldn't get to you and he could, so there's a couple of different ways, but you can go to a Digipeater and go, and Murray and Brent, they go back and forth all the time on packet to PEI. So, and once you get into a Digipeater, it's got smarts in it. You can go in and list all the nodes that there is around there. And then if you want to connect, the Digipeater knows in order to get somewhere that what nodes it's got to go through to get there. You don't have to go to each one. You can go into SIX in Sussex, and then you can go connect right through to the LAN VE1PRM-1, because a lot of the guys sit on the LAN there frequency in Moncton. So it knows to go to PRM and then go to PRM-1. So these Digipeaters have smarts in them. They know routing and everything. They're talking to one another all the time, passing information. If a new Digipeater appears, it passes it all to the rest, so they know they're continually refreshing themselves with information and routing. If you can go in and look at the routes, that's in the Digipeater. You can go in yourself and you can see who it's been hearing. It might be hearing Art Gun. So he's active on their local ones, that it can hear. But if there's a new Digipeater somewhere, it knows, and there's routing or tables and the quality of the signal that you can go in and look at. There's all, different things that it just takes practice. And I think if you get a hands-on and see somebody doing it, it's not it enlightens you quite a bit rather than just talking about it and what you can do with it.
Yeah, Malcolm, to send a nasty gram to Brent, as in Taylor. Sorry, I didn't mean. I connect to VE9SIX and then I connect to VY2HF via VE1 PRM, and I get -1, his mailbox, and then I can send all sorts of nastyisms to him, and hopefully I'll reply in the next several minutes based on his mood.
So this is our backbone in case the real internet goes down, right?
Well, when this came out, this was the internet when this was developed. There wasn't any internet. And this was how we pass messages. It's an older style email system, if you want to say that. So
yeah.
But
once I get passed on that test and all that, I would be very interested, just because of my programming background. And back in the days, I was on a BBS and I was a SysOp there. So I'm old, and I know those things. So older. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can always ask Murray or Brent there. They're old hands at this packet too. So I don't know. They pass nasty messages to each other. I don't know if I want that. And probably you are too, Brian. I think you were in it at one time. I forgot to mention you too. Sorry. But
oh no, that's right. I was in it at one time.
Yeah.
I also was in it at one time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the messages Murray and I exchange are not that nasty. They're very G-rated. So
we used to have a packet club here at one time. We'd get on Wednesday nights and just go online and chat by keyboarding back and forth. So it was an old, of course, internet came in and took over, but and that's why it faded into the picture. But it's a good, reliable system. It's good for they have EMO exercises, and it's a great way to send messages between EMO centers too, because they have all got packet, and it's revived now. I said there must be about 15 on packet in Moncton now, so that they formed a club and they're giving courses over there to their members and getting people into it. So there's a lot of people dusting out their old TNCs, blowing the dust off and putting them back in service. There, Murray's got, I forgot the name of those.
That's a 320. That's a VHF UHF unit with BBS and crossover between the two modes.
Yeah, that's like the Big Brother's Tiny 2.
Yeah, I've got one of those run. That's the one I run up here, Gary.
I think I got a Tiny 2 also, not using it, but a 2, the one in between, 230 or something.
I'm gonna have to dust off my Commodore 64 and my 300 baud modem that comes with it.
That's what I used to start out in packet. I had a VIC-20 hooked up to packet, and then I got a Commodore 64. So, and I had packet running on that. Yeah.
With the cassette drive too.
Yeah.
Well, I started with a VIC-22 when I did it.
Yeah.
What's old is new again.
Yeah. Well, I said it sort of went when email and everything, it sort of, but I kept my stations going, and I had a guy in Moncton there for years, and up until he passed there, he was a great packet guy. And so now I said the node went down and just never got fixed. And then all of a sudden everybody wants it. So I went last fall in November into Scotch Mountain, and the power supply had gone for the whole node stack. And guess what it was? I brought it home, put a new one in. The on-off switch went open. An Astron 35 amp. I ordered a new on-off switch and it's fine, but so I, and the antenna was gone. I put a new antenna up on VE9AI over there. So it's all back in service.
So
By the way, SIX up here, I can get it. It's full scale up here at my place from Scotch.
Good.
Yeah, it works excellent.
It's down on the building level now because it was up that big tower, and one of those big ice storms there demolished it, and then they wouldn't let me climb the tower anymore. They locked the thing so you can't get up. They took part of the ladder out, and so I went down with a piece of pipe and put it on the cable tray going out and bolted it to that stick up. So
no,
it's working good anyway.
It's still good gear. I still get full scale up here.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
now,
And with that, I have to leave. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
have
There,
a great
Gordon.
evening.
Gordon, you must have been in packet too at one time. Forgot about you. Yeah, there's a lot of old packeters on here.
Now on the line, I see a Kantronics KPC Plus.
Yeah, that's what Charles has one of those, I think.
Okay, $249. I assume it's American.
They're a good TNC. They those ones have a KA node in them too. So
Okay. What does a KA node do?
it does much as a Digipeater, only it hasn't got all the smarts of a Digipeater. You can connect to it and go on again, and it'll forward through it, but it doesn't have it doesn't keep the node list in it. It keeps is who it heard, but it doesn't have a node list like a true Digipeater does, because the Digipeater runs complete different software, the NATS it's called. So
Okay.
it's called a fill-in. It's a fill-in thing more than anything, a fill-in node, so you can use it to get somewhere that you can't go direct to.
Okay. Any more questions for Gary?
If you think of something, call me sometime.
He's always available.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary, for doing that. And I plan to go over and get a session from you someday. Things
Sure. Yeah.
lighten up a bit further. So yeah,
Well,
that'd be great.
if you haven't used it, to come see what it does is more than. This was just a quick run through to kind of give you what it does and the history of it, I guess. But
yeah. All right. Well, super. Thanks for doing this. Greatly appreciate it.